Hey there, all you fantastic people. I hope your day has been absolutely wonderful. We're back for another exciting episode of What If Naruto Became the Wind Lord. Make sure to show some appreciation to the talented author behind this fanfiction. You'll find the link waiting for you down in the description. In this What If, Naruto finds some scrolls that contain Fūton Jutsus. When he goes to ask the old man about them, the answers he gets will change his life. If this What If has your imagination running wild, drop a comment down below and let me in on your thoughts. And don't forget to explore the array of other captivating what ifs available on this channel. Alright, without further ado, let's kick off this video and dive into this exciting journey. In the village, the sun was just starting to rise. Most of its inhabitants were still asleep. Those who were up were training, opening up their shops, or were on the night guard. Yet, there was one person who was none of these. Hyuga Hanabi was up and silently crossing the Hyuga compound as she made her way to the clan library. Ever since she saw that Hinata person, Hanabi had been unable to get her out of her head. She had double-checked the clan listings, and found that there were none in the main house that were close to her age, or even looked like her. Then Hanabi began to look through old pictures and letters she could find to see if there were any clues. The only thing she was able to find out was that many pictures of her mother were missing. Hanabi stopped in front of the wooden doors of what looked like an old root cellar. She opened them and made her way down a flight of stairs, until she came to a steel door. She opened it and then entered the second level of the clan library. The library was a two-level structure that was underground and out of sight to protect its secrets. The second floor was basically a catwalk along the wall with books and scrolls on the shelves. These books ranged from history to Icha paradise. But Hanabi's destination was on the first floor. The first floor held topics like jutsus, family records, and a special section for main branch members only. Also, in the middle, were tables where a person could sit and read for a while. Clan law forbids anyone, even the clan head, from tampering with anything on that level. It was even forbidden to take anything off of that level. This made it the perfect place to look for information. Hanabi made her way down the next set of stairs as quietly as she could. However, as soon as she came to the ground floor, she was spotted by the librarian. He was an old branch member with a long beard and a slightly hunched back. If Hanabi remembered correctly, he was her great uncle. "Ah, Hanabi-sama," he said with kind smile. "How nice to see you." "You're up early," said Hanabi as she cursed her luck. This was supposed to be a secret. "The love of knowledge knows no opening and closing hours," said her great uncle. "Now, how can I help you?" Hanabi thought about it for a moment. What the hell, she thought after a minute. He was here and he might be able to help her find what she needed faster. "I need to find someone," said Hanabi. "Then unless you were looking for me you will find no one," he replied. "No," replied Hanabi. "I mean, I need information on a Hyuga girl. She doesn't have the seal on her forehead, so she must be from the main house. Yet, I have only seen her once and that was on the street. Somehow she seems so familiar. I guess it's because she looks like my cousin." At this, the old librarian's eyes widened. "Her name wouldn't be Hinata, would it?" he asked. "Yes," said Hanabi quickly. Now her heart was racing. She could now get the answers that she wanted, needed to know for reasons beyond her. But the sad smile on her great uncle's face put a halt to all of that. "I'm afraid that I cannot help you," he replied. "That information was made forbidden by your father." "Why?" demanded Hanabi. "What did she do wrong?" "To Hiyashi-sama," said the old man, "it was that she was simply alive." Hanabi couldn't believe this. Did her father hate this Hinata person so much that he did everything in his power to erase her from the clan's history? "Is there anything you can tell me?" she asked. The old man stroked his bread for a bit while humming before he answered. "Well now," he said. "All the official records are forbidden. Yet, I could tell you some unofficial things." At that, Hanabi's heart began to race again. "Anything would be helpful. Let me see. Ah, I got one. Hinata used to come down here all the time." "What did she do?" asked Hanabi quickly. "Did she take something out of the library? Did she look at something she wasn't supposed to?" Her uncle laughed. No, he said. "She was always well behaved. She sometimes used the books down here to press flowers, but not that many people minded." "Oh," said Hanabi. "Hinata was a very kind and considerate person," said her uncle. "Her mother loved her from the bottom of her heart. I know that if she were still alive today, she would be heartbroken. But, I am a little glad she was able to get away." Hanabi gave him a confused look. Hiyashi-sama would have damaged her had she stayed. She was so eager to please everyone and make sure everyone around her was happy, you see. But the only things she got from Hiyashi-sama were harmful words and looks full of disgust. I bet it tore her up inside. That is all I can tell you." "I see," said Hanabi as she got up. She slowly made her way out of the library. She was a bit disappointed with the information that she got. She had been hoping for more useful information. So far she sounded like a saint or something like that. Yet, now that she thought about it, she might have gotten some useful information. Hinata had been around her father a lot before she left. Maybe Neji might know something. Or maybe there were other records of her elsewhere. Now that she thought about that, she might have been a recent graduate from the academy. You know, said the librarian after he heard Hanabi leave. Your sister would have said goodbye. In Ame no Kuni, they have a way of dealing with orphans. Those who live on the streets are the lucky ones. They live by eating out of trash cans and begging for food. They sleep in the sewers and rat-infested dumpsters. And despite these things, they are the lucky ones. This is because they have a greater chance of living past the age of 6. There are no orphanages or foster homes in Ame. Instead, there are places called living toy shops. There, children are sold cheaply for whatever the customer wants. Few buy these children to raise as part of the family. The people who go to places like these have other uses for children, sweet shops, test subjects, and even for the whims of people like Orochimaru. The children stay at places like this until the age of 6. At the end of every year, all the children who are 6 years old are sold to the army. A high-ranking general comes to pick them up. They are not to be integrated into the army, but to be used in war games. Things like targets or to check for landmines. Perhaps now you know why the land is always crying. The children are told about their future from a young age. In fact, they are first told this on the day they are given their number. They don't get names, just numbers in different languages. When asked why they don't have real names, they are told that they won't be around long enough to need real ones. They are simply products in the eyes on the adults. It was from people like them that Setchus got his name. This was the world he was born into. Had it not been for Hanzo, he would have been killed by now. But he lives on, fighting. Why does he fight? How was he saved for a grim fate? That, I'm sorry to say, is a story for a different day. But now you know a little more about Setchus, Elf, and Zwolf. That was a good fight, said Setchus as he slowly stopped clapping. Too bad they were arrogant fools. Had they been smarter they might have lasted longer. What are you doing here? Demanded Naruto. I think that would be obvious, replied Setchus as he reached behind his back to grab the folded weapon that was attached to it. As he pulled it out it straightened itself out, so it looked like some kind of staff weapon. At the ends of it were blades with one side sharp, and the other looking like a saw. Setchus held his weapon out in front of him so Naruto could see it. Like it. It's called the Titan Blade. I had this custom made so it's no ordinary weapon. It's made of a special metal that never rusts, is non-magnetic, and won't conduct electricity. I can't wait to see how it fares against your Raijin. Let me guess, said Naruto with an annoyed look on his face. You are going to kill me for some reason that I'm sure someone else did. Hell no, said Setchus, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. That's not my style. If I have a grudge against a person then it's with that person and no one else. And if they die before I get my chance then that's life and I get over it. Setchus then pointed his Titan blade at Naruto. Hanzo-sama has taken a great deal of interest in you, and I don't like it. He let you sign his contract and gave you a title. Now I'm going to prove that you, an outsider, don't deserve that honor. Don't you think that you're getting mad at the wrong person? Yelled Naruto. No, I don't, yelled Setchus as he ran towards Naruto. As he did he began to spin the Titan blade so fast it was like a blur. Once Setchus was in striking range, Setchus began to shift the blade from his right side to his left side, and then back again. Naruto was forced to move backwards quickly to avoid the attack, not knowing what was behind him. After a short while, the back of Naruto's foot hit the side of a half-buried rock, which caused him to lose his footing. At this, Setchus grinned. Using the momentum that he had been building, Setchus crouched down, and then made a sweeping motion aimed at Naruto's legs. However, Naruto was able to shoot up and avoid the sweep. Then Naruto a kick right on the side of Setchus' head. Sadly though, Setchus saw the attack coming and blocked the kick with his forearm. Swearing under his breath, Naruto backed away from Setchus for distance. That's impressive, said Setchus as he got up. He watched as Naruto floated about a foot off the ground with his arms crossed. I can at least see why you are called the Kei's Shu. That Kekkei Genkai of yours is truly amazing. This isn't a Kekkei Genkai, said Naruto. Then a thoughtful look appeared on his face. At least, I don't think it is. I really don't know that much about my family, so I can't say for sure. All I really know is that I always had a talent for the wind. What you are seeing here is me wrapping the wind around my body to fly. Believe me, it has gone a long way since I first started. Back then I would have to use a hand sign just to change direction. Are you an orphan? Asked Setchus. Naruto nodded. I see then. We share that in common. And here I thought you were the prized member of some big fancy clan. No, said Naruto. But, even if I did belong to a big clan, I would still do things my way, even if they don't make sense to other people. Better to be messy on your own than to be messy under some old guy, right? Yeah, said Setchus. Why give someone else credit for your hard work? This is it, thought Setchus as he grinned at Naruto. I'm fighting a worthy opponent that is making my heart race. Back home, every Genin I have fought used cheap tricks to try and win. Now I am fighting someone who understands that the only true way to handle a problem is to attack it head on. I'll fight him and win. Then Hanzo-sama will notice me as the best. With that thought, Setchus crouched down again while he positioned his Titan blade behind him. Let me show you an attack I created by myself. I call it Sechster. With the attack called out, Sechus leapt towards Naruto. As he went through the air, Sechus began to twist his body around, while the titan blade seemed to move around his body. Sechus would do a somersault, and the blade would travel from behind him, between his legs, and then across his body. Then Sechus would do a kick spin, and the blade would spin around an armor leg. Not knowing how to counter this attack, Naruto just lifted himself in the air to just miss Sechus trying to slash his chest. Naruto then let himself on one of the blades, as Sechus kept his attack going. The blonde had planned of kicking him, but Sechus repositioned his body above the blade, and used to deliver a spinning kick aimed at Naruto's legs that connected. Naruto was then knocked to the titan blade and onto the ground on his back. Naruto groaned due to the dull pain he felt on his back and legs. Then as he stared at the sky, Sechus appeared above him with the titan blade, ready to pierce Naruto's chest. Running through the hand signs, Naruto yelled, "Fūton Jutsus." Suddenly, a great wind hit Sechus and sent him flying into a tree so hard that it left an imprint. Naruto didn't know how high Sechus was, but if he had to guess, it was pretty damn high. Naruto then slowly got back onto his feet when he noticed something. It was a leaf that must have been knocked off a tree due to Sechus' impact. Then, without warning, the leaf split in half. Squinting his eyes at where it had happened, Naruto was able to make out a thin thread of chakra. Looking around, Naruto saw that he was now surrounded by these threads. Then Elephant's wolf came into view. The chakra threads seemed to be coming out of their fingers. "We got him, Sechus-kun, we got him," yelled Wolf as she jumped up and down. Sechus said nothing. He stepped out of the imprint and onto the base of the tree. He then leapt off of the tree and landed on his legs and free arm, as he hadn't let go of the titan blade. He looked Wolf and then at Elf before a look of anger appeared on his face. "Baka," he snarled. "This is my fight. How dare you interfere in it? And I always thought that you two always avoided a fight." "True," said Elf. "That's because we're not as bloodthirsty as you are. But when we are guaranteed a win, we'll make an exception." "Sechus-kun, now you can kill him while he's contained," said Wolf. "I don't like it," growled Sechus. "Go on and try," said Naruto, getting everyone's attention. Then a smile appeared on his face. "That is, if you really think that I'm contained." Sechus stared at Naruto. What could he be thinking? There's no way he can get out of the web those two twits wove. Is he trying to bluff me or something? Sechus then grinned evilly as something inside him told him that the fun was just starting. In another part of the forest, Anko had made camp inside the base of a hollow tree. Sasuke was still asleep, but every now and then he would start screaming. This made Anko very nervous. His screaming could alert others to their location, and she didn't need the extra stress. She was still worried about Naruto, who was still missing. Not to mention they had no skulls, so the odds were higher that they were going to be failing this exam. Also, she hadn't slept all night and was hungry. So she was a bit irritated. Okay, she was ticking time bomb that would go off at any time. Then, suddenly, 309s appeared in the clearing in front of the tree. There was a teen that looked like he was covered in bandages from head to toe, and wearing a shirt with extra long sleeves. There was also a cocky-looking boy and a girl with long dark hair, but neither of them stood out like the mummy one to be. They stood there for a moment and seemed to be waiting for a trap or something. "Mitarashi Anko," said the mummy teen after a moment. "We know you are there, so there is no point in hiding. We are here to talk, not to fight. It is about an offer which we are sure you will want to hear. I urge you to consider." Anko closed her eyes and considered her options. Right now she was still tired from yesterday due to her not having slept or eaten since yesterday. Add to the fact that she was outnumbered 3-1. Maybe if she had been able to get something to eat or had even taken a nap, she would have stood a much better chance. All she could do now was to try and stall them, and hope that Sasuke woke up in time to give her a hand. At the very least she might be able to get some information out of them. With that in mind, she opened her eyes and walked out of her hiding place. "Alright, I'm here," said Anko once she stood before them. "My name is Kanuta Dosu," said Dosu. He then indicated to his teammates. "This is Abumi Zaku and Tsuchi-kin. We work for..." "I know you work for Orochimaru Oji-san," said Anko. "Just get to the point." "Why you little," began Zaku. However, Dosu raised a hand to silence his hot-headed teammate. "I just thought that we should conduct this as professionally as possible," said Dosu as he gave Anko a once-over with his single visible eye. "It seems I was mistaken." "Very," said Anko. "Then let us get to the point," said Dosu. "Anko-san, you have been invited by your grandfather to join us." At that, Anko's eyes widened. "You seem surprised. Our master was impressed with your skills and contacted us to give you this invitation. He said that while you remain here you will never reach your full potential. Also, he wants to get to know the last member of his family better. So, what do you say?" "I'll do it," said Anko, "when hell freezes over." "It is a great honor to be chosen by Orochimaru-sama himself, you bitch," said Kin. "How dare you?" "Shut up, Kin," snarled Dosu. Kin looked hesitant but did as she was told. Then, Dosu turned his attention back on Anko. "Perhaps you need more time. Just think about it. To be trained by a member of the Sannin and a fellow snake summoner. To be taught jutsus that this weak little village could never dream of. To be given a power that is unlike any other in this world. He would even be willing to allow you to take with you your friends if you so desired. Again, no, said Anko. What about the blonde, said Dosu, causing Anko's eyes to widen. Orochimaru did a bit of research into you and found that you are rather close to Uzumaki Naruto. In fact, he believes that you are in love with him. Shut it, growled Anko as she clenched her fists. However, you aren't the only one who has feelings for him, continued Dosu. There's that loser of a Hyuga who hangs around him as well. It must be hard trying to get some alone time when he is friends with your romantic rival. If you join with us, you could take Uzumaki-san with you and keep him all to yourself. Not a bad idea, right? I will admit that it is tempting, said Anko. I hate it that she's always around. I hate that she has feelings for the same guy as me. And I hate how Naruto-kun doesn't seem to notice. If I took up this offer, then I could finally have him all to myself. But I would only have his body, not his heart. And I'm going to win it on my own. She then glared at Dosu. So if you think that you can use my feelings to get me to join up with the team who betrayed him family and village, then you are dead wrong. Very well then, said Dosu with a sigh. We were told it was a long shot anyways. However, if you were to say no, we were ordered to kill Uchiha Sasuke. Now, will you move out of the way? It is the will of our master is that you be given a chance to leave this place alive. Again, no, said Anko. I need that asshole in order to pass this part of the exam. You kill him and I fail. Also, he's my comrade or something to that effect. At that, the Odonin's sweat dropped. Very well then, said Dosu as a kunai appeared in his hand. In a quick motion he sung his weapon at Anko's throat. Cold steel hit warm flesh and then, poof. Anko vanished in a cloud of smoke and was replaced with a small purple snake. Before the three knew it, Anko was above them with her sword ready for action. She swung it with as much strength as she could at Dosu's head. Sadly, the three genin sensed the attack coming and moved out of the way in time. Anko landed with a thud. She was breathing hard and was tired. What was worse was that her enemies knew it. Dosu came after her and swung his fist at her. She stepped back to avoid the hit, however shortly after she did her world became fuzzy. Moments later she fell on her hands and knees and began to throw up blood. The next thing she knew was a stinging sensation on her back. She turned around and saw several senbon needles sticking in her back. She turned her head back around and was going to try to stand up, but Zaku grabbed her head and began to lift it up. You really shouldn't have insulted Orochimaru-sama, he said. Now let's see how you look without a head. Michi and Hisame had just landed on a branch near the clearing when the fighting had started. Now, they had never intended on reaching this point. After the Salamander Hotel had vanished, Michi had dragged her sick, in more ways than one, teammate out of that clearing, and headed off randomly. Now, after several minutes of running non-stop at speeds no normal genin could possibly travel at, they were above the fight between Anko and the Odonins. In Michi's opinion, it wasn't much of a fight, 3-1. Looks like this is going to be over soon, said Michi as she glanced at her partner. Hisame looked a bit more green than blue at the moment. And that couldn't be a good thing. I hope you learned your lesson. I guess, said Hisame weakly. But in my defense, it tasted pretty good. It just made me sick as hell after, grown, words. Michi said nothing to that. She sighed and then turned her head back in the direction of the fight below them. The Odonin holding the purple-haired girl's head, gave it a squeeze causing said girl to cry out in pain. Michi clenched her fists as she watched. There was nothing she hated more than a guy bullying a girl. And as much as she wanted to get involved, she knew that they couldn't risk it. They had a mission to fulfill. Time to die bitch, said Zaku as he prepared to blow off Anko's head. But, just as he was about to do that a green blur entered the clearing while yelling, Konoha to Senpu. The next thing the three Odonins knew was that they were kicked in the chest with enough power to send them several yards away from Anko. When they got back up, they saw their opponent and sweat dropped. It was Rock Lee standing in his fighting stance. Anko looked up and let out a low groan. It wasn't that she was ungrateful or anything. It was just that, it was Lee. Damn it, she thought. Why couldn't it be Naruto-kun? Then again, it would be embarrassing as hell if he saw me like this. Lee's probably going to be going on about youth and talking loud and shit. At least it wasn't Sasuke. That teen could most likely insult me and say I was just a weak girl. Kiba would blab this out to everyone along with Ino. Maybe this isn't so bad. Back in the tree, Michi was getting creeped out. As soon as the green-clad wonder entered the clearing, Hisame began to change. First, her skin regained its usual blue color. Then her eyes took the shape of beating hearts. As she stared at Lee, a small trickle of drool appeared from her mouth. Okami, said the rejuvenated Hisame. That hair, those eyebrows, that spandex. He's perfect. I think I'm going to be sick, deadpan Michi. What are you doing here? Demanded Dosu. She isn't your teammate. Why help her? Because, said Lee loudly. She is a shinobi of this village and a comrade. It would be unyouthful for me to allow you to kill her for not selling out her teammate to save herself. Here comes the headache, thought Anko as she lay on the ground. Kawaii, squealed Hisame. I even love the way he talks. Please, seek help, groaned Michi. However, Hisame couldn't hear her teammate as she was already making wedding plans in her head. Back in the clearing, Dosu charged at Lee. The Odonin didn't like having to deal with all these distractions. If Orochimaru hadn't ordered them to talk to Anko first, they never would have. They might have even completed their mission by now. Dosu had, of course, wondered why Orochimaru had asked them to do it in the first place. Perhaps he had a soft spot in his heart for the girls since they were family. Or maybe he was just curious to see what her choice would be. Whatever the reason, now he had to deal with these Konoha flies. Lee stood his ground as the Dosu headed for him. Then, Dosu pulled back his right arm, revealing some kind of metal guard attached to it. Lee acted quickly and reached into the ground and pulled up a large root to block the attack. Dosu's fist hit the root and caused no other damage. "I saw your attack when you used it on Anko-san," said Lee. "Well, you didn't hit her with your attack, you were somehow able to cause damage. There's more going on than just a punch." "Maybe," said Dosu with a cocky tone. "But what can you do about it?" Lee said nothing as he began to unwrap the bandages on his arms. He knew that he shouldn't use this jutsu, but he had to finish this fight quickly. That was the best way to deal with an opponent who used attacks that you couldn't understand. He knew the risks and was willing to take them to help out a comrade, just like Guy would do. Dosu stared at the green genin as he lowered his arms. He was about to move to attack again when Lee vanished and reappeared below him to deliver a kick to his lower jaw that sent him flying into the air. Lee then used his arm to launch himself into the air and get behind Dosu. "This is what I can do," said Lee as his bandages began to wrap around Dosu. "With this, you will not be able to swing your arm. Almond wrench." With that, the two of them began to spin headfirst towards the ground. "Shit," swore Zaku as he slammed his palms into the ground. Acting quickly, he sent a blast of air in the direction of the spot where his teammate and the crazy, loud genin were going to land. The ground seemed to puff up right before Dosu landed in it, and Lee broke away. For a moment, Dosu just lay there. Then, without warning, Dosu pulled his head out of the dirt. "Thank you, Zaku," he said. "If you hadn't softened the ground, I would have been killed." He then pulled back the sleeve on his right arm and stared at Lee. The green-wearing teen was barely able to stand due to his last attack, and what was worse was that anybody with working eyes could see it. Dosu charged at Lee and swung his right arm in front of Lee. For a second, nothing happened. Then the world became blurry as Lee fell to his knees. "What?" asked Lee as he reached for his left ear. "Hee," laughed Dosu as he pulled out his gauntlet. "What you are experiencing is the effects of my Kai Mycin. I use my melody arm here to generate sound wave that I can then redirect and amplify with my chakra. Now that you know that, you can die with the knowledge of the jutsu that killed you." Dosu pulled back his arm again and prepared to swing. Then, "Like hell you'll kill him," screamed an angry female voice. Everyone looked up into the trees and saw Hisame standing on her feet, pointing his sword at Dosu. "I finally found my perfect guy and there is no way I'm going to let you kill him." Dosu blinked in confusion. He looked at Hisame and then at Lee and then back at Hisame. "You have weird tastes," he said. This caused Hisame to grind her sharp pointy teeth. She then raised both of her swords and yelled, "Raikyu." The ball of lightning shot downward toward Dosu, who jumped away in time. When he landed, Hisame was standing in his spot. "I know your weakness," she said with a smile. "You have to be close to your opponent in order for the effects of your attack to work. This means you are at a disadvantage against long-range fighters. And I just so happen to be both close and long-range." "Maybe," said Zaku. "But you are a lightning user and I'm a wind user." Zaku then brought his arms up, and a moment later a gust of wind came out of the holes in his palms. "My element beats yours and I'm able to fight long range as well. You might want to consider your last words." Hisame grinned evilly. "Are you afraid of spiders?" she asked. Zaku raised an eyebrow at that. What does she mean by that? He then looked down and saw a small spider made of clay on his right arm. "Don't you know," said a voice from behind them, "that art is a blast." The clay spider then exploded, causing Zaku to scream in pain. His right arm fell to his side with blood dripping to the ground. Both he and Kin looked behind them and saw Michi standing behind them with clay birds circling around her head. "Shit," cursed Osu. Before he could say any more, he sensed a powerful chakra spike from the tree. In fact, everyone did. They all turned their heads and saw Sasuke stand up, while purple chakra began to surround his body. In addition to that, black marks appeared on his skin. Sasuke vanished and then reappeared behind Kin, who had readied some senbon needles. He launched a punch to her right side, and then a blow to the back of her head. Then he vanished again and appeared next to Zaku, and then grabbed his left arm. "I bet you're proud of these arms," Sasuke said coldly. He then tightened his grip and continued to do so until he heard a snap. Zaku screamed in pain until Sasuke kicked him in the gut, causing him to pass out. Slowly, Sasuke eyed those who were still standing and those who were hiding. He looked up and saw Neji and Tenten, who were watching to see what would happen next. He then glanced at the spot where Team 10 was hiding. Then he saw Hisame begin to spin her swords above her head, and he grinned. There was someone who was willing to fight him. He charged at the shark girl as a disc of lightning appeared above her head. It then began to cover her body as she yelled, "Rejeki no Yore." Sasuke's fist hit her, and he was then given a powerful shock causing him to scream before he passed out. As he lay on the ground, the curse marks began to recede until he was normal again. "Sasuke-kun," yelled Ino as she jumped out of her hiding place. She then pointed an accusing finger at Hisame. "How dare you hurt Sasuke-kun, you freaky shark girl." Hisame sighed. "He attacked me and I defended myself," she said. She then turned around and saw Neji and Tenten picking up Lee. "So," she said seductively, "do I get a reward for saving your life?" "Well, I guess," said Lee nervously. But before he could saw anything else, Hisame appeared in front of him and locked lips. Everyone just stared in shock except of one person. "Hello, I'm still here," said Dosu. But nobody seemed to be paying attention to him. "Fine, I'll just leave this earth scroll here and be on my way." With that, he set down the earth scroll, picked up his allies, and left. "Let's go," said Neji as he snapped out of it. Tenten nodded and the two of them left dragging along a shocked Lee. "No fair," cried Hisame as she stomped her foot. "I wanted to do more." "Like what?" demanded Michi. "Well, like this and that," said Hisame with a blush. Michi just grabbed her by the ear and began to drag her out of the clearing. "So what do we do now?" asked Choji as he munched on some chips. "We help Sasuke-kun get better," said Ino as she rushed to the emo boy's side. "Troublesome," said Shikamaru. "I guess we'll help Anko since she really needs help." "Go on and try," said Naruto, getting everyone's attention. Then a smile appeared on his face. "That is, if you really think that I'm contained." Sachs stared at Naruto. What could he be thinking? There's no way he can get out of the web those two twits wove. Is he trying to bluff me or something? Sachs then grinned evilly as something inside him told him that the fun was just starting. "Yeah, I do," said Sachs as he began to spin the titan blade in front of him. Around and around it went until it was just a blur. "Giraku Tatsumaki," he yelled as a black mass of air shaped like a drill came rushing at Naruto. The blonde reached behind him and pulled out the Raijin. Raising it over his head, he shot up into the air while cutting any chakra wire that were in his path, until he was out of the web that the twin created. Sachs' attack continued, destroying everything in its path until it dissipated several dozen yards later. "Wow," cried Naruto as he looked at the damage. "Ame has some great jutsus. Who taught that to you, Sachs?" "No one," said Sachs with a grin as he tightened his grip on the titan blade. "That was a Sachs original." "Cool, so you're a wind user too," said Naruto with grin. He then deactivated the Raijin and put it back in his pouch. But there's a difference between a user and a master. With that, Naruto began to spin his right arm around until a tornado formed around it. "Meet my own original, the Senpiken. Now, let's have some fun." With that, Naruto shot down at Sachs who began to spin his blade again. But this time he was doing it above his head. "Try this on for size," said Sachs. "Kakijiten." As he called out his attack, the blades on the titan blade seemed to catch on fire, making it look like a disc of flames due to the spinning. Sachs then threw the titan blade at Naruto who dodged the attack. The titan blade traveled to the end of the clearing until it hit a baby deer. A moment later a bunny and a baby skunk came out of hiding. "Oh my kami," cried the bunny. "He killed Bambi." "You bastard," squeaked the skunk. "What the hell?" yelled Naruto as he looked down from the air. "You can use fire as well." "Yes and no," answered Sachs. "Everyone knows that the more prepared shinobi will win. So I, in order to put this into practice, managed to complete the first step of 4 of the 5 elements. Look at it this way, you spend all your time working on one element while I went for a variety. This way, I can pick the attack that I know that will have the best chance of betting my opponent. Looks like you shouldn't have put all your eggs in one basket." "Please," said Naruto smugly. "Jack of all trades and master of none. There is a reason why people say that. You may be able to do more, but their power doesn't come close to mine." "We'll just have to see about that," said Sachs. He then charged forward and ran right for his titan blade. Naruto began to move to intercept, but chakra wires appeared in front of him. He looked down and saw Elephant's wolf as they made a net between Naruto and Sachs. "From this point on," said Sachs as he pulled the titan blade out of the Bambi, "you two are not to interfere." "Got it." "But Sachs-kun," began Elf. "Got it," roared Sachs. The two nodded in defeat as the net vanished. Sachs then pointed the titan blade at Naruto. "From this point on, it's one-on-one. I want a clear victory against you as well as a fair one." With that, Sachs lifted the titan blade over his head and began to spin it again. "Fine with me," said Naruto as he pulled out the Raijin and activated the blade. He then flew down close to the ground and then headed right for Sachs. Sachs too began to run at Naruto as he yelled Kakijiten. Sachs' teammates watched as the two blades clashed. Naruto planted his feet on ground and began to push with all his might. Sachs pushed as well in this battle for dominance. Slowly, Sachs felt Naruto being pushed backwards and grinned, and he added more chakra to feed the flames. "This is it," cried out Sachs in pure joy. "Finally I'll be able to prove to Hanzo-sama that I am better than you. Crushing you is only one step in fulfilling my dream to become as strong as Hanzo-sama." "That's it?" asked Naruto as he began to push back with more force. That's all you want, to be as good as someone else. No wonder Hanzo Jaisen likes me better. What the hell are you talking about? Yelled Setches as anger flooded his. You don't know anything. I think I know more than you, said Naruto as he took a step forward, shocking Setches. I plan on becoming the strongest Hokage ever, to surpass all the ones who came before me. I plan on surpassing even Hanzo Jaisen and everyone else out there. That's impossible. Yelled Setches as he was forced back another step. No one can ever become stronger than Hanzo-sama, no one. You'll die in vain trying. But I dare to try, said Naruto as he took another step forward. I'm sure that there was once somebody really strong before Hanzo Jaisen and he wanted to surpass him. Naruto took another step. I'm sure a lot of people laughed at him and called him a baka. Once more, Setches was forced back. But with hard work, Hanzo Jaisen was able to achieve his goals and show everyone that he was able to become the strongest. Now a powerful wind began to surround the two swordsmen that began to push Elephant's wolf away. People may call me a baka, but I will surpass the old generation and step out of their shadow. Seeing he was in a losing battle, Setches kicked Naruto in the chest and jumped backwards several feet. Naruto watched as Setches just stood there with his head facing the earth. Is that what I've been doing wrong? Thought Setches. All I've ever wanted was to be as powerful as Hanzo-sama, the man who saved me from being used as a human landmine detector. He tightened his grip on his blade. Was it that simple? To be more like him I had to surpass him. Slowly, Setches raised his head and stared at Naruto. Uzumaki, what do you know of the great white shark? Asked Setches. Naruto blinked. Ah, they're big white sharks, said Naruto. Well, that's true, said Setches as his sweat dropped. But, they're so perfect that they have never needed to evolve. That is the way I have always viewed Hanzo-sama, a perfect killing machine. So tell me, how do I surpass perfection? I don't know, said Naruto with a small grin. But I'll let you know when I get there. Setches blinked. Then, for reasons he didn't even know, Setches began to laugh. Elephant's wolf looked at each other in utter confusion, as Setches laughed so hard that he had a tear rolling down his cheek. I don't know what it is about you, said Setches as he calmed down. No matter what comes out of your mouth, it doesn't piss me off nearly as much as when others say things like it. And fighting you isn't nearly as boring as some of the other fights that I've had to fight. Why is that? Naruto shrugged. Maybe because you respect me as a worthy shinobi, said Naruto with a grin. Setches grinned as well. Uzumaki, no matter how this fight ends, I'll have no regrets, said Setches. He then ran through several hand signs before yelling, Doten. Byakuya no Jutsu. Setches then stomped his foot on the ground, and a large dense chunk of rock shot out of the ground. Setches then swung the Titan blade, so that the flat side of his weapon hit the rock, and sent it flying towards Naruto. Naruto quickly put away the Raijin. Then he began to spin his right arm until once again there was a twister around it. Naruto then swung his fist at the incoming rock and yelled Senpiken. As he made contact, the rock burst into hundreds of smaller pieces and went flying towards Setches. Not having enough time to start spinning his Titan blade, Setches guarded his vitals with his arms. While they were small, many of the rock pieces were able to do noticeable damage to Setches. However, they were mostly nicks on his sides. But before he could lower his arms, Naruto's fist hit him in the gut. Clever thought, Setches. He used his jutsu to send mine right back at me. He then used it as a cover and flew at me to punch me in the gut. Not bad. With that, Setches hit the ground. He looked up and saw Naruto standing above him. Go on and finish it, said Setches. If you don't, I'll just try again and again. Naruto grinned. I can live with that, he replied as he held out his hand. Need a hand? Setches grinned as he slowly lifted his arm and took hold of Naruto's helping hand. It was now the night before the second part of the exam ended. Anko and Sasuke had teamed up with Kabuto in order to get a heaven scroll. Kabuto directed them to the spot where they would have the most luck of finding one, around the tower. They began to watch the tower until they realized that they were under some kind of genjutsu. Once it was exposed, the Amanin responsible for it appeared and used the Kasumi Jushin no Jutsu to fool them. This is getting us nowhere, said Anko as her Urumi pierced several clones that then turned into blackish shoes. Then, the clones began to regenerate until they looked as if nothing happened. Sasuke, now's the time to put that Sharingan of yours to good use. Right, said Sasuke. He activated his Sharingan for a moment, but stopped as the mark on his neck began to cause him pain. What's wrong with me? I should be able to do with no problem. What did that freak do to me? His line of thought ended as he dodged one of the clone's attacks. Up in the tree, Boro and his two teammates laughed. Now all they had to do was get them to waste their chakra, and then kill them once they were too weak to do anything about it. Then, they noticed two people enter the area where the fighting was taking place. Ramen's better, yelled Naruto at Setches, who was picking his eyes. On what planet? Demanded Setches. Karaki is the food of the gods. You're just too stupid to notice. Why, I'm going to, began Naruto, but then both he and Setches noticed the fight going on. Hey guys, what up? Forgetting everything that was going on, Anko rushed over to Naruto and grabbed him by his shirt. She then began to shake him back and forth. What's up? She said. That's all you have to say. I was worried sick about you, and here you are acting like nothing wrong happened. I was stuck with Sasuke for a whole week and it was no picnic. Anko-chan, please stop, begged Naruto before he went puff. Anko blinked in surprise. Damn, said Setches. It was going to be so cool. Then he too went puff. What the hell happened? Demanded Iboro. Then he felt someone tap him on the back. Slowly, he and his teammates turned around and saw Team Setches and Naruto. This left them with one thing to say. Mommy. The last thing they saw were several fists coming right at them. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.